machine, angry kid, bad at every level, calling out the kings and the fish and lady devils. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, burning down the town. He talks, he fights, he stays up through the night. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise. He wears a digital crown. Digital crown. Burn it all down. Paradise. No more monsters, no more lies, no more games. Underneath the hollow skies, one man only gets a flood, spilling out the data like it's fresh blue blood. Digital crown. Burn it all down. Paradise. Shut it down. Log on. Just walk away.
Welcome back to another episode of the CounterCast. How are all you vital idols doing? We have got a hell of a show for you today because a lot of you guys might think this is old news. The Alanah Pearce story, it is sort of old news. You know, I found out about the video on Saturday, but I don't stream pop culture stuff on Saturdays and Sundays. So this point's a few days old, but I haven't seen it. We're going to have to talk about this Aussie fuck. And there is plenty more to talk about as well. There's more going on with the digital future of Sony and what that means for the rise of piracy and other topics if we get to them. And that's a big ass if because, well, me and Cindy like to yap. And speaking of, can't do it alone. Cindy, tell people who you are, what you do, the whole nine.
Well, hey, cuties, I'm Cinevere. I like to talk about anime, gaming, and on the occasion, a little bit of horror. I hope everyone's doing well today. Hell yeah, I don't know what's going on.
You'll love to see it. We also got some pre-stream legends to acknowledge. Shout out to the True Aztec Warrior, member for 11 months with a cheers. Cheers to you as well. I don't usually drink this early on streams, so no drink for me aside from some green tea, no sugar. You love to see it. Great for weight loss, the gut biome. Perfect. But cheers to you as well. Thank you for 11 months, almost at Super Saiyan God level. A boy, the True Aztec Warrior, became a member all on his own. Shout out to the True Aztec Warrior. And last but not least, Ghost of Valhalla sent 67 jewels with the 6-7 cancer, but I will take it nonetheless. Shout out. This is for you.
Leon, Moxie, are y'all niggas happy? Y'all happy? You proud of yourself? I hope you niggas is happy. Congratulations to all the new single moms on the channel, but I just hope you niggas are just so happy with what you've done.
I'm happy with what I've done. Time to shout out who is watching. Ghost of Valhalla is here. Matt Stamper, Jeremy Hughes reviews. The True Aztec Warrior is up in this bitch. Sleeping Nova, the Chud King, D Draconic up in this bitch. You'll love to see it. Blaze King is here. Cliff 420, shout out to you, who's also holding it down over on Kick. Right alongside, we got Edmund Wubber, Rabnad Skubla, Michael Vargas is here. Shout out. I think I called out that darn Otaku, but we'll call you out again. Lithium Lux Eterna also holding it down over on Kick. Shout out. King Too Tall. Appreciate you, homie. JKM 1012. The Soul Assassin is here. Gooch's biggest fan. How you doing, Stace? Appreciate you. Let's see who else we got up in this bitch. I already called it Michael Vargas. Cindy, of course, we're talking to you guys in the comments below. Or in the chat, however you prefer to say that. Dat Otaku member for 3 months, giving a bingo, bango, bongo, the Words of Paradise logo, and a Cine emoji. The Stream Elements bot is doing its job. You love to see it. Pukanini says aloha over holding it down on Kick. Shout out to you. And Draconic gifting a Words of Paradise membership, sniping all for one. Based as fuck. Shout out. This is for you. We're just going to double down on the Atreus clip. It's the only time simping's okay is if it's for your wife. You can simp for your wife.
If you're cheating. If you're cheating, it's okay.
Yeah, hurry here first. You'll love to see it. All right, crew. Cindy, you got any sort of housekeeping, anything you need to bring up, talk about before we get right into our topics of the day?
Let's see. I'm going on like a mini vacation Friday, so I won't be here for Neon Leon.
Right.
And I
high drive for Neon Leon, and then high drive for CounterCast in a couple of weeks. Oh, look at that! I don't have a fucking no. I'm fucking with you. You need it. I'm glad. What are you doing on your mini vacation?
I'm hanging out with my mama. We're gonna go hang out with her friends. We're going a few places. I don't know where yet, but yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna miss my computer the entire time.
Do you have a Steam Deck or a Switch or anything like that? You can. Well, I know you have a Switch because we
Switch.
played Pokemon together.
Yeah, I have a Switch. That's about it.
All right, perfect. Learn to play Smash Bros while you're gone and offer me some sort of challenge. Alrighty, guys, it's time to get into it. First things first, I gotta ask, Cindy, are you aware of who Alanah Pearce is?
Yes, she's very, very retarded.
Perfect. Are you also aware that she released a video called "America Sucks"? By the way.
Okay, well then she's not allowed to ever come visit, and I don't want to hear how she moved here.
Come visit? She lives here.
Oh no, then yeet her out of the country.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Don't you guys find the funniest thing about this? A video titled "America Sucks," by the way. You know, us Americans, kings of capitalism, starting off with a Raycon sponsorship in the video.
Oh my goodness.
Yup. Raycon is sponsoring this broad to say America sucks. Let's see what she got to say.
My channel is sponsored by Raycon, which means we will have an ad from them somewhere in the middle of today's video. I heard someone ask me on a
You
stream the
just
other day why
started
Asian
with it.
countries
What
like
do you mean?
Japan aren't facing the same truly insane wave of layoffs that the games industry in Europe and North America have been since 2022. We are over 50,000, by the way. 50,000 people have lost their jobs in an industry that is making record money. If you
Good. Pump the numbers up. There should be more layoffs as far as I'm concerned, and you should be one of them. Mind you, she says America sucks. Do you know what her most recent claim to fame is?
Writing a cookbook for fucking God of War?
Well, you're correct with writing and with God of War. No, she is one of the lead writers on God of War Laundry.
Oh, well, no wonder it's shit. No wonder you have a guy dressed up in mocap cube. Of course, you have this fucking brainlet coming up with ideas. This makes so much sense.
And yet she has the gall, after getting a job like that, coming over here from Australia to say that America sucks.
I think her and her whole family need to be deported. If her husband wants to try and keep the kids, sure. But, like, she needs to go.
Family, is she married? I wouldn't be surprised if she was a crazy cat lady, but let's keep going.
like a full breakdown of why we're at 50,000, here is a comprehensive video of why the games industry broadly is in the position that it's in. But when it comes to Asia specifically, I get why this is confusing, especially because a lot of Western studios, even ones who have faced tremendous layoffs, are owned by Asian companies. Sony is a great example, a Japanese company that recently shut.
Sony is not a great example. Sony is not a Japanese company. They are technically a Japanese company. Sony is a Japanese company in name only. They are fully Western, fully Americanized. And let's be real, is anything coming out of Sony not the Western slop that we've been given for the last 10 years or so?
Yeah, no, it is. It's like Japanese adjacent. It used to be, but now it is no longer.
I feel like they cosplay as a Japanese company at this point.
Down fairly beloved studio Bluepoint, who were based in Austin, Texas. Bungie also owned by Sony, but operating out of Bellevue in Washington, recently lost 300 employees. Riot Games is 100% owned by Chinese mega publisher Tencent. They've laid off just under 100 people this year across the US and Europe. Nintendo has done this. Square Enix did it very recently. It happens across the board. It's happening in other industries too, of course.
But it doesn't happen across the board, actually. It doesn't happen in the companies that are Japanese, that are within Japan or within South Korea, or God forbid, even within China. Now, I get there's people that'll be like, oh, well, Japanese don't do layoffs. It's actually illegal. They have a, they try and force you to quit. Yeah, I get that. But also, the games coming out of Japan, out of South Korea, out of China, they're successful. Why would they lay off the people that are making games that make money?
Well, yeah, it comes back to nobody wants this stupid fucking message. We don't want girl bosses. We don't want gay pride and all our shit. We want to be left alone, make us good games again. And then yet they act like it's rocket science, kind of like she's doing. It's willful ignorance. They know the answer. They just don't care.
You want to know what I don't want, Cindy?
What's that?
I don't want people that are from Australia immigrating to America, taking on dream jobs for some American workers, such as, working on video games, being insiders into the video game industry, be it working for IGN or working for Sony or whatnot, to come here, reap the benefits of American culture, and then make videos titled "America Sucks." Then get the fuck out.
I fucking agree. Because, you know what would happen if she lost her job? She'd be selling her butthole pictures online.
And the funny thing is, she doesn't work for Sony anymore. She's still under contract with them. So I guess she's doing like YouTube and freelance journalism full time. I don't really know what her role is, but she's got open invite to come back, anytime, because she's a good little toady who will do whatever the corporate masses want them to do.
For sure.
Japanese pharmaceutical company Takeda Pharmaceutical recently announced plans to cut 4,500 jobs in order to save around 200 billion yen annually. Yay for the stock market. And the employees that are being laid off are in Europe. Basically, companies that are headquartered in Asia are still laying people off, just not all that often in Asia. It does also still happen in Asia.
Do you mean they want to keep their Asian workers, their actual workforce that probably does the majority of the job? Yeah, it checks out.
Asia, to be clear, sometimes Tencent did just lay up 100 employees from the Shenzhen, China-based studio Timi, I think is pronounced, studio group, most well-known for
Thank you for the sub, Ray Lamps.
Mobile games like Call of Duty Mobile and Honor of Kings, for example. But most of the stories that I feel like I hear out of Asia are like the direct opposite. I'm reading this paragraph from Lewis Gordon at The Verge because they summarized it perfectly. It says, in recent years, Japanese companies and studios such as Sega raised salaries by 33%, Koei Tecmo upped wages by 23%, employees at Persona maker Atlas saw their incomes jump by 15%, and Nintendo gave its employees a 10% raise. Most recently, Capcom increased graduate salaries by 27.7%, describing it as an investment in the people who support the future of the company. And all of this is benefiting people specifically in Japan. So yeah, I get why it's confusing. Why are there so many layoffs in the US and Europe, even at Asian-owned companies, when their Japanese counterparts are getting goddamn raises? The reason...
She sounds so salty. She sounds so fucking salty.
Wouldn't you be salty if you yourself had no idea where your position was in a company?
Wouldn't you be salty if you yourself are contributing to the degradation of the Western video game market, and the Japanese aren't, and they're of course being lauded for it, whereas the Western side of things are getting punished as they should?
Oh my gosh, yes, it makes me happy. It's like, yes, please be more bitter. Why don't you move to like another country? How about you go to China?
But hey, remember, the video is titled "America Sucks," by the way. It's all America's fault, mind you. By the way, if this is all America's fault, and if America sucks, why is this happening in Australia? Why is this happening in Europe? Why is this happening in Canada and all these other Western countries that aren't America? Let's be real. It's a provocative title for the sake of being provocative. But at the end of the day, I still don't want foreigners here that came here on the goodwill of the American people, taking dream American jobs, to be able to sit here and tout how much they fucking hate America. And I get it. We have free speech, and I appreciate that free speech. With that being said, free speech, in my opinion, is for Americans, not these goddamn usurpers.
Yep.
Reason for this may shock you. Women. I'm joking. It's actually the law and also culture.
No, you're right. It was women.
Yep. She got it right the first time. She's obviously can't commit to saying that.
Yes.
Honestly, really gross, which you'll see when we get into it. But for the purposes of keeping this relatively cohesive, I'm going to largely look at Japan. And as part of that, I did interview Shuhei Yoshida, who is both Japanese and was the president of the SIE Worldwide Studios, as in PlayStation Studios from 2008 to 2019, and 2 other Japanese games industry professionals who have asked to remain anonymous. The most that I can say is that one is a producer at AAA Studio effectively in Japan, and the other worked at Nintendo for many years, but no longer does. And we will hear from them right after this ad break. This message is sponsored by Raycon.
And here it is, boys. The Raycon ad sponsoring a video titled "America Sucks," by the way. So in case any of you guys ever considered purchasing Raycon, I get it. They probably offer her these ad reads before they know the context of the video or the content of the video, but not a good look, Raycon. Not a good look.
Also, if you say I hate America or America sucks, why are you taking on an ad read for an American-based company?
That's a very interesting question. You're asking the right question, Cinny.
Back to school season, and whether you're a student or a parent, today I wanted to chat about something that I wish I had back when I was still in school about 50 years ago. These are the Raycon bone conduction headphones, which are so cool it still feels like actual magic to me. They use off-ear audio, sending sound through vibrations in your bones. They're great for many reasons, certainly accessible.
All sounds are vibrations, by the way.
Which is a thing I'm definitely very passionate about here on the channel, because
Wait, we're respecting her
you
ad
can walk
read?
around campus, for example, listening to
YouTube etiquette. I respect all ad reads regardless of whether I dislike the YouTuber or not, because at the end of the day, it is unlike her, who wants to whine and bitch and moan about the games industry and be an unprofessional, ungrateful bitch, and whine and bitch about America because she's again an ungrateful bitch. I am a respectful individual and do think that respecting the ad read is an important part of YouTube culture.
I gotcha.
lectures or audio textbooks and still hear the world around you. You can hear traffic, people coming at you on bikes, and hear whatever's playing at the same time. I find this super useful for safety reasons, but they're also really great to work out in. They're not in your ear, so they can't fall out of your ear. They also have 13 hours of battery life, are IP68 waterproof and dustproof, meaning you can use them even if it's raining or if you're sweating, and they offer a premium performance without the premium price tag. So while I do totally recommend them for daily use, I'd say they also make a great gift. A lot of people that I show these to are amazed to find out how they work. I think it'd be a very, very cool birthday present. So, as said, the Bone Connection headphones are the perfect back-to-school companion. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/CharlesBC to get 20% off. Thanks to Raycon for sponsoring. Now back to the video. So, Japan has what it is called a legal doctrine of abusive dismissal, which basically says that unless an employer can actually prove that they are firing someone for one of a few permissible reasons, that firing is considered abusive and is thus invalid and
that's one of the Japanese dumbest fucking laws. Sorry, I've grown up in an era and a culture. Guys, working is not a right. Working is a fucking privilege. If you can't do your fucking job, you shouldn't be there. Do your fucking job. It's not abusive to fire one from their fucking job. And guess what? If your company is making a bunch of goddamn money, then all of a sudden you stop making a bunch of goddamn money and you need to make cuts. Either way, cunts. Whoops, Freudian slip there, Alanah. If you need to make cuts because you're not making the money you used to make, yeah, that's the right of the business to do so. So I think Japan is completely off base about this.
Legal. This is a whole process. The firing company straight up has to provide paperwork regarding whatever misconduct an employee may have committed, and there's a whole bunch of things taken into consideration surrounding this. It is a huge deal. Like, what are the damages caused by the employee's misconduct? Does the employee have a history of misconducting? Or this is just a one-off thing? To what extent did the employee try to correct their behavior after doing their misconducting? Like, it's not just like they do one thing and they get fired. They legally have to be given second chances effectively.
Yeah, but what's that? Now, I don't particularly know the ins and outs of the Japanese business side. What they do something real egregious? What they're just sitting in their cubicle like beating their fucking meat? Do you have to give them a second chance? You can just fire their ass.
I really don't know. I don't know anything about their business practices.
So I do know about the inability to fire. That's why oftentimes what Japanese companies will do is just stop giving you work to the point where it demoralizes you enough to where you quit.
Oh my goodness.
There's no legal ramifications of quitting. It's called quiet quitting. And so, yeah, what they do is they'll just sit there, like, basically, they will pay you to sit there and do nothing until that doing nothing drives you so crazy you quit and get another job.
I could see how people would be rolling with that too, and just be like, yeah, I could just bring
apparently
shit
it's pretty big in Japanese culture to not do that because it's, shameful.
Well, that's because they understand shame. Here we don't.
There you go. That's the real thing. They understand shame.
Again, depending on the actual work crimes committed. You can't even fire someone for just being bad at their job without proving that you tried to get them a job that they might be better at or training them for a different position. As such, there are many examples of Japanese employees being fired, suing their ex-employers, and winning, and as a result being rehired, which has got to be real awkward. Can you imagine? Other countries producing a lot of games right now, like South Korea and China, are, of course, a little different, legally speaking. They're different countries, but their regulations are ultimately to very similar effect. For example, a Chinese company recently tried to reassign a worker to a different department, and in doing so, cut down their salary, obviously, because they can't easily fire people. Reassignment is the next best bet, specifically in this.
And guess what? If you're being reassigned to a different position that has a different salary, either take that different salary or go to a different company. You are not owed a set salary just because that's what you start at. Now, ideally, you would like to get a set salary and then get higher and higher as you go through the ranks. But guess what? That's not how the real world fucking works. Also, China's communist. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I know. Why does it matter? Like, what's going on?
Well, why does it matter? I'll give you an easy answer to that, Cindy. China's communist, and this is a left-leaning California libtard who came here from Australia, who's also incredibly communist. Maybe she's just a fucking commie bastard.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, this is why I said she needs to be shipped out to China.
Yep.
In this case, though, they were trying to replace that human worker with AI. The Chinese government has officially made it illegal to replace human workers with AI. You can do that in America, though. Fuck yeah, freedom.
Yeah, correct. Freedom. Guess what? Because with technological innovation comes other new, better jobs, guys. Let's be real. This has been the foundation of America. This is why we are such a technologically advanced country. This is why we've grown through the ranks. We embrace new technology. With new technology comes new jobs, even if old jobs made obsolete. Sorry to the basket weaver that no longer has a job because machines can weave 10 times as many baskets 10 times as fucking fast.
Comparatively, it's just real easy to fire people here in the US. The US has what they call an at-will employment system, and it's one of the only countries that operates this way in the entire world. It basically...
Weird. We're one of the only ones that operate this way, and yet we're the fucking best. Interesting how that works out.
Yeah, I know. That's fascinating. And then you forgot to tell us how we suck.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm truly curious. I'm waiting on the why the America sucks part. 'Cause I'm sure it's going to be, oh, America sucks because they can fire you. Oh, America sucks because it doesn't give the right proper protections to workers. It's denying us our rights as if those are actual fucking rights.
means you can be fired at any time for any reason, and that you can quit at any time for any reason. You can be fired in the US basically because your boss was having a bad day, and they will face zero legal repercussions for this.
First of all,
that's an ignorant statement.
Yeah, that is an ignorant statement. There are still company guidelines that go into what you can and can't fire. There just isn't usually, and there are legal protections, by the way, for employees. Like, for example, you can't fire people based on race, gender, ethnicity, things like that. Now, I think you actually should be able to, because again, it's the free market. If you fire someone because they're black and that word gets around and people stop coming to your company because you're a racist company and then you go under, well, guess what? You made those choices. But the point is, there are legal protections for workers. But even if there aren't, yeah, the companies can operate as they are. In most company handbooks and most management situations, there are guidelines and whatnot that you do have to follow as to why you're firing people. So this is still an incredibly ignorant statement. Even if there's not legal protections, that is irrelevant. People do illegal shit all the time. Just because something is legal or illegal kind of doesn't mean anything unless they're actually willing to follow through with the law. Or let's say you do believe that you were unjustly fired. We can also sue for that. People have done plenty of wrongful termination suits. Gina Carano was doing a wrongful termination suit to Disney. Guess what? She probably would have won, which is why Disney ended up settling outside of the court, because if everything went to discovery, Disney would have lost the lawsuit on the illegal firing of Gina Carano.
Yeah, and they're going to do everything they can to cover their ass. I still want to know what the fuck she means, America sucks.
Oh, I'm sure she'll tell us. Don't worry. We've still got 10 minutes of the video left.
Oh my gosh.
Montana is actually the only state in the entire country that doesn't technically operate this way. Shout out to Montana. The only exceptions to this rule in the US are discrimination-based. You can't be fired based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, or gender identity, national origin, age, if you're 40 or older, disability, and genetic information, including family medical history. You can't be fired for reporting sexual harassment. You can't be fired for whistleblowing, and you can't be fired for union activity. Otherwise...
So basically, there's a whole slew of legal protections that America does, in fact, give its workers. Funny.
Oh, game owned by Japanese company didn't meet sales projections? Cool, let's lay off the Americans because it is incredibly easy to do so. Get them.
Yeah. If a game didn't. Okay. If a game doesn't meet sales expectations that was being developed in the West, doesn't matter if it's by a Japanese company or not, being developed in the West. It's not like fucking, Bandai Namco's out there making like, one of the Warriors games. Or no, I think that's Koei Tecmo. All right, we'll just use Koei Tecmo instead. Let's say Koei Tecmo makes, what was it called? Not Dragon Warrior. Dynasty Warriors. Let's say Bandai Namco makes a Dynasty Warriors game completely in the East, and it doesn't do well. They don't just fire people in the West. They fire the people in the West that worked on the game or whatnot, or they don't fire people from completely different teams that worked on different games. Like, no, the games that are being developed in the West by these Eastern companies are the ones that aren't selling. Forspoken flop from Square Enix. Square Enix wasn't like, all right, we're going to lay off our Asian people who never worked on it. No, they laid off the motherfuckers and, in fact, closed the entire studio that worked on Forspoken because the game cost them and lost them money. And that's how a business should operate. If something's losing you fucking money, you cut your goddamn losses.
Well, yeah, but they don't want to understand a merit-based system because they think they should just get all the money despite not doing the work. And then they wonder why they fucking failed.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Out here. There are some protections in place regarding layoffs specifically, but it's just you must give employees notice and pay and give them insurance for a specific amount of time. It's genuinely really depressing. It feels like the US and European employees are like stock
Just
market
do your
holder for
fucking
company-
job. It's seriously not science. You do your goddamn job.
You want to know a funny story? I think I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. So I used to be a supervisor for CenturyLink. I was a sales team supervisor. I had a team of about 42 people. And, it was my job to ensure that we got sales, selling internet, TV, things like that. Then they moved me to a training position to train the new like incoming recruits, usually classes of about 25 people or so. They would go on to the sales floor. Then after I did that for a couple of years, CenturyLink decided, hey, we're going to open an overnight sales team, and we need someone to run the project. And so they said, Leon, we would like you to be one of the two people we choose to do this. It's going to be 2 overnight teams. You're going to work 4 days, be off 3, then work 3 days, be off 4, and it'll be complete overnights, 12-hour shifts. And I was like, all right, I'll do this. It sounds like a bad idea. I'm going to be real, guys. I don't think there's a whole lot of people at 2 a.m. that want to order internet, but whatever. We'll do it. Go for it. So I ran that project for about 6 months. And about 6 months in, CenturyLink decided, hey, we're not making a whole lot of sales on overnights because there's not, all that, call volume and internet volume and stuff like that. I was like, oh, right. Gotcha. The thing I said would happen. They're like, yeah, so we're going to be moving you back to a day position. I was like, all right, cool. No worries. Just let me know what team I'll be in charge of. Let me know the what my hours will be, things like that. They're like, oh, no. When we, moved, obviously when we moved you to be a trainer, we had to fill your supervisor position. And then when we moved you from being a supervisor, we had to, put someone in as trainer. So we're going to end up, be putting you back. We're going to be demoting you basically back to just being a regular sales agent. And I said, fuck that. And I quit. Guess what? It was within my right to quit. It was also within their right to not just hand me a supervisor position when there wasn't a need for one because they were already completely filled.
Oh, that's actually pretty crazy. But yeah, no, that does make sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I hold no ill will towards CenturyLink for them doing, the correct thing to keep the day-to-day business up right now. I hold ill will towards them for even starting an overnight thing because I said that wouldn't fucking work. That's neither here nor there. The point is, yeah, it is obvious that that's how the world should work. You don't just give people money and give people leadership positions and whatnot for nothing. You also don't just sit there and expect companies to make money if the people are fucking off not doing their job.
Yeah, I want to go back to a merit-based system. It doesn't make our country worse. It makes it better.
Agreed.
He's headquartered in countries where they aren't allowed to treat employees like actual trash. But even Europe, which of course also varies a ton by country, generally has much stronger worker protections than the US. China has actually developed a...
And yeah, Europe, that's who we want to be taking inspiration from. The people that are letting their countries be overran by these Muslim invaders. They're taking advantage of their 9-year-old girls. Let's follow their model.
Yeah, she could just move there,
That's true. If America sucks so bad, why? I hear that France is nice this time of year. Same with Italy. Same with the UK. Let's be real. You can go back to your homeland of the Australian emu corpse. Like, what the fuck are you still doing here if you think it sucks so bad?
No shit.
criticism of U.S. treatment of workers and people in general. You may have heard of this. It's called the kill line. This is a term that originated on Chinese social media. This is so brutal. It kind of
She's actually taking communist China propaganda as a source and using it as something like she is trying to pretend Chinese propaganda is a valid source. China, the people that fucking hate us, the commies.
Yeah, the place she needs to fucking move to where they might appreciate her. I mean, like,
actually, first of all, they wouldn't appreciate her, but also, I bet they wouldn't let her in because they don't they don't take too kindly to white people and to Americans and people from Western capitalist countries over there.
I don't blame him.
refers to a threshold at which a productive middle-class person living in the US is only one single medical, financial, or legal struggle away from irreversible collapse. They posit that most Americans live on this kill line. Most are just one disaster or really bad day away from immense debt and potentially homelessness, and this is a result of lack of social security systems.
No, this is a result of people who just don't make good choices. Yeah, a lot of people are, in fact, one major financial disaster away from, potential ruination. How much of that's because you didn't make good choices? You put yourself in a position where that could happen. You opted to not save money. You opted to not, try for a hard-working job that, hey, it pays well, but you're going to be doing some dirty shit, like being a fucking plumber or welder or something. Let's be real, most of these people brought it on themselves, myself included. I've certainly been, and to a degree, kind of am in a position like that. A bad month on YouTube for me can actually be pretty devastating, but guess what? I am choosing to take that risk to be self-employed and to do YouTube full time. And you know what? It's a risk I'm happy to take because, yeah, while there are times when it actually is kind of rough, it's a whole lot better being able to make my own hours and be my own boss and frankly provide what I think is an entertaining service. But I also have no delusion about the idea that I could probably end up making more and have more stable job security if I went back to doing IT. But I like doing this, and that we have the freedom to make that choice.
Safety nets across the board. The at-will employment system clearly contributes here, and it means that a lot of the rest of the world, including games industry professionals globally, including working in Asia, see the US system as just incredibly brutal. I mean, I personally have terrible insurance that I pay $500 a month out of pocket for, and if I were to get into an accident and lose a limb, I think I would have spent my life savings probably within the first hour of being hospitalized. Like, the ambulance ride itself would wipe up my entire bank account. That's why it's like GoFundMe or nothing in the US, really. If you weren't good at socializing in the US, honestly, you're kind of screwed. Like, better hope you have some friends who are willing to write a nice paragraph about you and share a link, my guy. That's how it works here. If not, guess you'll
I'm sure she's got top of the line insurance. I don't know what she's bitching about.
Not only that, it's like, oh, make sure you got friends that'll write a nice paragraph for you. Oh, you mean that instead of the state mandating what you do and don't have to pay and taking money from our pockets, we have this idea of a charity. If you want, if someone's got something coming up, they've got an issue, they've got a medical issue or whatever it may be, you can just give them money out of the goodness of your heart. Yeah, I think that's actually probably a much better system than government mandating what is done with your money.
Man.
die. But speaking of fun cultural quirks like dying because you weren't friendly enough, Japan specifically.
No,
has some
wait a
fun
minute.
ways
Wait a minute.
around
This
not
is
being
absolute. No, this is crazy because if I recall correctly, a hospital cannot turn you away if you have an ailment, despite whether or not you could pay for it. So you can still get treatment. She's acting like you can't.
Because this is a propaganda video from an Australian that does not love this country despite being here and taking advantage of it for the last several years.
Oh my gosh, Yeeter.
able to legally lay people off. If by fun I mean basically torture, which, at this point, it's torture being laid off. Considering everything we just spoke about, I'm going with the workplace torture. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in Japan, obviously.
Bro, what sort of fucking first world privilege do you have to talk about workplace torture? Like, that is such a bitch made, like, broads like this are why there's so many people out here that actually hold the misogynistic ideas of like how women shouldn't be able to work. They shouldn't be the way. I'm one of them. Women shouldn't work, women shouldn't be in the workforce, women shouldn't be in politics, women shouldn't be in leadership, all that. It's because of broads like this bitching about quote unquote workplace torture. Shut the fuck up, do your job, and move on, especially in a fucking privileged cushy position like writing for a video game.
No shit.
They basically just have different means of dealing with these ongoing struggles in the industry. Madogawa is a term that means seats by the windows, where certain employees, whether that is employees that are not performing well professionally or a company is actually looking to downsize, they are literally pushed to seats by windows because it's so difficult to fire people. So I asked Shuhei Yoshida specifically about this because there aren't a ton of official sources on the topic, and he said these employees are given no daily tasks and are encouraged to find new jobs outside the company. They are still paid by the company, so some employees just spend time in the seats doing nothing and collect salaries, but others use this time to find new jobs outside the company. Basically, they try to bore people until they leave. Companies,
which is exactly what I was explaining to you earlier, Senny.
Also work around these restrictions by relying more heavily on contractors. It's much easier to cut contractors, being that they could just not renew contracts. Same in the
By the way, several of the 50,000 gaming layoffs since 2022 that she's referring to, which again, rookie numbers, pump them up. Many of those are also contractors. That's a thing here in the U.S. as well. Like I was a contractor through Expedia for a long time. Now, to be fair, they actually did renew my contract, and I continue working with them for another year. But the point is, like, yeah, I was not officially an Expedia employee. I was contracted to do IT for Expedia. And when the time's done, the time's done. Same with gaming. All right. They employ via contract work, additional artists, additional coders, things like that. And then when the game is done, well, we don't need them anymore. So yeah, that's not even really a layoff as far as I'm concerned, because you brought them in for a known limited time to do a job, and then the job is now done. Like, what are we doing here?
Oh, willful ignorance. She's lying. She's being
yeah,
a woman.
You're right. It is all those things. She is willfully ignorant and lying because she's a woman.
US. And even beyond that, a reduction in outsourcing has actually made it look like the workforce is not diminished in Asia because full-time employees have not been affected, but overall jobs actually have. So considering all of this, that they are still attempting various ways to get rid of people in a just significantly more challenging legal system, why is Japan still giving out raises? This ties into Japan's post-war lifetime employment system. We're going back to
post-war. You mean when the U.S. came in and basically wrote them an entirely new constitution and took over and said, you're going to do shit like us now. We're going to occupy you militarily for the next several years until we realize you've got your shit together, Japan, and that you're going to stop doing things like the rape of Nanking and stop bombing Pearl Harbor. And guess what? Seems like it worked out pretty fucking well for Japan because they're doing great right now.
I know, right?
Well,
can't have
minus
that.
all the illegal, individuals over there also doing what they were doing here in the West. But I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
So we can't have that. Oh my goodness. I don't remember the rest of what I was saying. You got
Fair
me.
enough.
After World War II, Japan had to rebuild an economy that had been devastated by war while also rapidly industrializing. So Japanese companies built this model where they recruited workers straight out of university, trained them internally extensively, and sort of as an exchange expected them to stay with the company for most of their careers, if not their entire careers. This culture varies person to person and company to company and isn't as prevalent as it once was, but it's still a very significant difference to how Western countries tend to approach the job market. And there are huge upsides. Shuhei said, Japanese employees in the traditional Japanese companies tend to see the company they work for as more than the place that they get income, but see it as a community they belong to. They believe management and other employees.
And mind you, Japanese working conditions and the Japanese work, the way that they are, their mentality is on work is soul sucking. Like from everything I've heard and read about like Japanese, X and just articles about Japanese work culture and whatnot, it is soul sucking. They are committed to this business as if it's their family, and they are, honor bound and frankly bound by the social standings and pressure around them to stick with said company. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't exactly sound like a better model than what we have over here.
Yeah.
Are community members, and harmony is very important for everyone, which, yeah, sounds kind of lovely. There are also, obviously, downsides. Japan is notorious for its insane work hours, for example, and for the corporations themselves, it has actually made the job market uniquely very, very competitive. On this, Shuhei said, as the number of new graduates from universities reduces every year, companies in the competitive industry, like the video game industry, find the only way to hire talented new graduates is to raise salaries. The ex-Nintendo employee that I spoke to said, raises are part of an ongoing effort to both cultivate loyalty and project an image of job security in order to attract the best possible candidates. Because
correct. When you're making money, you can afford to make the positions you're hiring for more attractive by offering better, better salaries, better wages. When you're not making money, you don't really have that luxury.
Well, yeah, and then there at the end, it says in order to attract the best possible candidates, meaning a merit-based system. You could do your fucking job.
Bingo, bango, bongo.
Japanese workers will often stay at companies until retirement age, which is around 60 in Japan. You have to impress talented workers from before they even join if you ever wish to work with them. An added challenge here is that their population is pretty rapidly shrinking, and thus their recruitment tactics have become even more competitive. The Japanese population has gone down by 3 million people in the last 5 years, which is pretty wild. So basically, Japanese companies have been trying to be as appealing as possible to high-quality workers, lest they not be able to access them at all, ever. This is helpful to the Japanese games industry in another way. It might seem obvious, but retaining talent is especially valuable in long-term creative projects like game development. And I mean literally valuable, like monetarily valuable. The Japanese producer that I spoke to said that the cost of hiring a brand new employee in order to replace someone who has left would be over $100,000 in Japan. The loss of experience and company understanding is one thing, but time and investment needed to train someone new into a non-junior role is another, especially when Japanese companies very regularly train their employees across multiple disciplines. And yeah, I mean, it takes years and years to replace this kind of expertise, which is akin to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Final Fantasy Remake Trilogy director Naoki Hamaguchi recently told Bloomberg that staff retention is one of the main reasons he thinks that the trilogy has been so successful, and that they've been able to...
Except it hasn't been successful. Literally, in an article from 2024, Square Enix straight up said that it did not meet their expectations. That neither Final Fantasy Rebirth, the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, nor Final Fantasy 16 met their expectations. That is documented, and yeah, there's plenty of evidence to pull that off. In fact, if I recall, Rebirth sold half of what the remake did, or somewhere around there. So again, he's actually out here lying, probably for investors and shareholders, because yeah, they've gone on record as saying they didn't meet the expectations they wanted for those games.
Wait, is Rebirth
produce these huge games.
the one they just made? I don't remember which.
So there's Final Fantasy Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is part 1, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the one that came out after, and then they're coming out with a third one, Final Fantasy something. I don't remember. None of us are gonna fucking play it
so quickly, which yeah, games are not factories where you can just swap one guy for another guy and get the same output. A senior designer, a programmer, or artist, or writer has years of institutional knowledge about why something works the way it does at a certain studio in a certain engine and what has failed before, thus what mistakes not to make again. This is the kind of knowledge that people don't really tend to write down. It's somebody's lived experience that really only lives in their brains. You lose all of these things with layoffs. Just how weird that only Japanese CEOs seem to have figured this out. But yeah, it means that their potential for high quality...
American CEOs. Oh, sorry, go on. What were you going to say, Senny?
No, I was going to say, she doesn't understand they have black companies there.
First of all, yes, correct. Japan does have black companies. But also, yeah, Americans had this figured out for a while as well. The 90s and the 2000s when American games were doing fucking gangbusters.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't have so many fucking women in the space.
That's quite a factor. It's quite interesting how you're right. Lack of women in the space made a lot of these games really successful to the point where they could continue hiring other people. Unfortunately, they made the mistake of hiring women.
Quality games is higher, which could inherently lead to less layoffs. A wonderful cycle. Japanese leadership also seems to think employee morale is valuable for some reason, which, why? In 2013, Satoru Iwata...
No one is going to deny that employee morale is incredibly valuable. First of all, every job, it does not matter whether it's plumbing, it doesn't matter whether it's in the IT space, doesn't matter if it's in even fucking the publishing companies, right? Any job where you've got multiple employees, 2, 3 to 200, 300, 2,000, 3,000, whatever, morale is incredibly important. That being said, when you've got these cushy office jobs and your sense of, morale is pride parades and enforcing DEI culture and things like that to make the 0.07% of your employee base feel all happy and special and shit. Yeah, that doesn't take morale very far when you're only appealing to the 0.07%, or even when it's a larger percent like women. Sorry, dudes that are in the office, probably the ones doing the vast majority of the work, don't give a fuck if you're doing some sort of Women's Day special or whatever.
You know what would improve morale greatly at every company?
Getting rid
especially gaming companies, right? Getting rid of HR, the DEI departments, all the unnecessarily jobs with these screeching banshees like her. Like that would improve morale drastically.
Correct. Well, and what else would improve morale is if the games they made were actually selling, which the games they made would sell if we got rid of all the things that you just outlined.
famously cut his salary by 50% in order to protect employees from job cuts after the Wii U sold poorly. He said, "If we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease, and I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world." He continued, "I also know that some employers publicize their restructuring plan to improve their financial performance by letting a number of their employees go. But at Nintendo, employees make valuable contributions in their respective fields, so I believe that laying off a group of employees will not help to strengthen Nintendo's business in the long run." Studies back this up. Oxford found that workers are 13% more productive when happy. They work faster, harder, take less sick days, have a positive impact on the other employees around them, and are less likely to leave. Who'd have thought? Crazy. Hidetaka Miyazaki, the president of From Software, also agreed with Iwata, saying, "I think it was the old ex-president of Nintendo, Iwata-san, who said that people who are afraid of losing their jobs are afraid of making good things." I'm paraphrasing that, but I totally share this view. Basically, Japanese companies are not magically immune from the financial struggles the games industry is facing, nor are they any more charitable than American companies. They are still laying off plenty of people. A company is a company is a company. Really, they're just operating under different legal parameters and a different business culture in general. It is.
First of all, the legal parameters are irrelevant. The legal parameters are completely irrelevant because, again, while America has a completely different set of legal parameters to work off of, we weren't seeing these sorts of layoffs and stuff in the 90s and in the mid 2000s to the early 2010s. So if the legal thing is irrelevant, the only thing would be the culture and, of course, the product. And the product output coming from the West has been a major point of contention for gamers the world over. Let's be real. I'm going to Google real quick. Have we seen Saber Interactive suffer these sorts of layoffs? Because gamers love Saber. Has Saber Interactive had mass layoffs? Let's see. Once in 2023. And that was right before they separated from their owner corporation, Embracer being an evil fucking company. So you're telling me the one of the main Western studios that people still love has barely suffered any layoffs, minus when they split from a merger of an overarching larger company that everyone the world over hated? Yeah, seems to me like when you're doing good work and have a good amount of healthy, happy employees and you're putting out good products, you don't suffer these layoffs.
Much easier, almost infinitely easier to lay someone off in the US from a legal standpoint, and doing so doesn't fly in the face of a long-established corporate culture that really focuses on long-term employee retention. There are, of course, as alluded to, many downsides of not being able to fire workers who aren't performing, and Japanese workers still have their fair share of mistreatment, but I will say it's pretty difficult to argue against one of them. People can surely build better games when they don't spend every morning wondering if they're the next one to get fired.
And you're only getting fired if your shit doesn't sell. Sorry, what were you saying there?
Yeah,
Cindy?
I was going to say the same thing, or at least something similar. It's like if you just did your job and actually made a good game and stopped being such a pain in the ass, over stupid ass things like pronouns or like I don't know, their whole shtick about how women don't get paid the same as men. Even though you're now right because women get paid more now. It's like this would solve a lot of problems. Yeet all these women, get rid of HR, get rid of the DEI departments, get rid of the consultants. You'd save money. You'd make better games. I see where you can improve.
And get rid of these import creatures like Alanah Pearce, who came here to take advantage of our American system while making full-on YouTube videos to bitch and moan and to bemoan it. I'm sorry, I don't want you here. You shouldn't be here. You're not an American. I heard the accent. You are worthless. You are vile. You are scum. And you make an entire video. I get it, to decry the work system here in America, which, let's be fair, is actually a pretty fucking great system, all things considered. Whole lot better than a whole lot of those communist or regimes that we see the world over. The fact of the matter is, fuck you. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be getting American dollars. I would not be upset whatsoever if this bra was deported. Sorry, I know we got free speech here, but free speech is for Americans, and you're showing your true color, and you are not American because you titled that "America Sucks," by the way. And I get it. Again, it's a provocative title. It's meant to piss people off. But when your goal is to piss people off, yeah, you accomplish your fucking goal.
Well, she also didn't offer a solution. She just said, hey, this particular part of their culture is not bad. We could take notes from that. And it's like, no, they have a whole system. You're wanting to play by their rules. if you go over there, you can't just go, well, I only like this part of that system. That's the whole culture, hun.
Yeah,
You
well,
can't
not
nitpick.
only is that the whole culture, but also we're talking about a woman here who used literal Chinese propaganda as an actual talking point and thought that it was a valid point. Again, that's some commie gobbledygook. We don't need that shit here.
Too true. Too true.
So yeah, that was our Alanah Pearce segment for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Shout out to all you 138 watching on YouTube. We got several watching over on Kick, on X. You guys are absolute gems. 173 across all platforms. Let's hit these soups real quick. Let's see. Start with, let's see, here we go. Scotty G, member for 8 months. IDK, how you guys, I don't know how you guys can do this. The amount of absolute buffoons you get to speak make me want to jump. Well, I can do it because I love what I do. I don't know about you, Cindy.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's also a case of, if we don't bring this to you, how are you going to know about it?
There's also that. Like, there is a bit of, like, I don't like taking the very like self-aggrandizing view of like, hey, we're doing a service by letting the world know what's happening. But at the end of the day, like, it is a service. Now it's all, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be entertaining first, and the audience comes first. But yeah, it is important to get this information out there, especially when someone like this is going to make a video called "America Sucks" while reaping the benefits of living in America. Almurva with a 2-banger says, "Damn, the wall hit her." Shout out to Cowboy Diesel with the 10 jewels, pissing up all this schnickles. Mr. Rich Low, Alanah is hitting the wall like it owes her drug money. Shout out to True Asset Warrior, pissing off more schnickles with 10 gold coins. Fuck the Jews. El Merlot with a 2-banger. My trick, look at DEI resume. If you see pronouns, no.
Yeah.
Agreed. Oh, you got something to add?
No, just, yeah. I agree.
Ask Scott to get a trace with the 2-banger. I'd fire Leon for not being gay enough. That's a very weird business strategy you got going on. Ask Scott to get a trace with another 2-banger. I'd fire Cindy for being too horny. More cat ears.
What?
I don't know. Evan with a 5-banger. I'm listening at work, so this is a bit of a late reaction. But did Cindy of all people just accuse someone of yapping too much?
Shut up, Evan.
Just to say, to be fair, you did during that video. You're like, oh,
Okay,
she's
yes.
still yapping.
Yes, but she was going to say 10 minutes worth of shit that made no sense.
Correct. Yeah, your yapping is justifiable and gives entertainment value. I guess that also gave us entertainment value for the complete wrong reasons. So, let's see. We got Cell Deviancy. Remember, for 9 months, my Japanese friend gets strangely silent when I play the Imagine Dragons song on Radioactive when we go on the road trips or need background music. Oh, I get that now. That was good. That joke went darker than I thought it would. Shout out. Thank you so much, homie. Truly appreciated you. Absolute legend. 9 months. Let me play y'all a clip. This is for you guys. Absolute legends, the lot of you. Thank you so much. It is truly appreciated. Let's get into part 2 of our discussion, which still centers around the gaming industry, but also, well, there's never a shortage of Sony news. PlayStation ushers in the golden age of piracy. And let's be real, it is the golden age, because it's not about whether or not they get more digital sales or more physical sales. That is largely irrelevant. What is relevant is the fact that you are taking away player choice and you're pissing off the fan base. And if you do that, well, they're going to find their games elsewhere just to stick it to you. And sometimes that just might be the high seas.
PlayStation is ushering in a new golden age of piracy. So that's a sentence I never thought I'd say on this channel, but I think it's exactly where we're heading. And I think PlayStation has built the entire red themselves without even realizing it. PlayStation have made paying for their digital games feel morally worse for many than using alternative methods where no sums of money are exchanged. So here's the logic that a genuinely enormous number of people have already arrived at, whether we want to admit it publicly or not. If paying full price for a digital game doesn't actually give you ownership of that game, if it's a revocable license that can vanish the moment PlayStation decides it's not worth maintaining anymore, then...
And people are waking up to this more and more every single day. I was scrolling next today. You want to know what I saw?
What's that?
someone had bought digitally the Lord of the Rings trilogy back in 2022.
Right.
Guess what happened to it?
It's no longer there.
It's no longer there. Reached out to the company to get a refund, and guess what they told him?
What?
Told him, nope, you're out of your 120-day window for a refund because you bought this in 2022. He was like, well, yeah, but I mean, I bought it. Why don't I have access to it? Homeboy had to learn the hard way that when you buy something digitally, you're not buying the thing. You're buying a temporary license to the thing. Homie never got his refund. Just had to learn the fucking hard way.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And the entire moral argument against piracy completely falls apart too, because the argument against piracy was always built on the idea that you're taking something away from someone who rightfully owns it. But if PlayStation themselves have already redefined what a purchase even means, stripping away permanence, resale, lending, and long-term access, then a huge number of people are going to arrive at the same uncomfortable conclusion. If paying doesn't mean owning, then not paying doesn't mean stealing either.
I like that logic myself personally. Like the way I sees it, ownership is not something that can be revoked. That's what owning is. That's the foundation of American culture is. And again, if Sony wants to pretend like they're an American company, because as we talked about, they are absolutely cosplaying as an American company, they're Japanese in name only, then they should probably be pretty fucking familiar with the concept of actually owning something is. Yep. Hotter, diddly dee. Exactly, Justin.
Today, I want to walk through exactly why that mindset is spreading, why the economics of piracy have always come down to convenience rather than morality, why the industry's own attempts to guilt people out of piracy have historically backfired spectacularly, and why every single ingredient needed for a genuine mass piracy wave is currently lining up at once, entirely because of decisions that PlayStation made themselves. I am Lady Decade, and if you feel as bitter at PlayStation for taking away our physical media as much as I do at the moment, then hit that subscribe button, as this one's going to get uncomfortable, so let's get into it. While many feel very uncomfortable at present about being locked into one digital ecosystem on the PlayStation, thankfully PC gamers are not facing the same issue, as
All right, y'all know the drill. We let the ad read play out.
PC gaming has multiple storefronts, meaning that you can play some of the best games for next to nothing. Use my links below to get the entire Batman Arkham collection for $5, the Castlevania collection for $7, Double Helix's Strider for $1, Double Dragon Gaiden for $2, Streets of Rage 4 for $3, plus up to 90% off thousands of modern releases from Iron Nest, Sovereign Tower to Crimson Desert. Each purchase supports this channel, or if you want to support what I do in a more personal way, access my behind-the-scenes cosplay collection and more by becoming a backer over on Patreon. Happy shopping, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Let's start with something that I think gets misunderstood constantly whenever piracy comes up in conversation, because there's a persistent myth that people pirate things purely because they're cheap, entitled, or unwilling to pay for things they enjoy.
To be fair, some of those are true. I've absolutely pirated things because I wouldn't say unwilling to pay for the thing I enjoy. It's that I enjoy the thing, but I'm unwilling to pay a garbage corporation. There's a reason that, for example, me and Cindy take to the high seas when it comes to watching our anime. It's not because we wouldn't gladly pay for our anime, or at least for me, it's not. I can't really speak for you. For me, it's that I will not pay Crunchyroll. I refuse.
Yeah, and I don't blame you at all. Like, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, why you're doing the piracy thing. If you can't afford it, if you don't want to pay for a company, I don't think it matters, because those companies were still making money regardless. Like, they weren't hurting.
Yeah, that's also, and if they are hurting, if they end up getting hurt and have to shutter their doors because of piracy, well, that's on them for not offering a product good enough that people were willing to pay for.
Yeah, because people I know that were pirating things, right? Watching anime or whatever, would still buy the DVDs, products that were made for that particular anime or game or whatever. They would still show financial support to these companies, but
buy the merch, so not even
Mhm.
the DVDs and whatnot. Buy anime statues or your fucking body pillows or whatever it is you degenerates are into out there. Yeah, you were still like, let's be real, anime was never a moneymaker to begin with. Anime is always done at a loss for people to buy the manga, if there's a manga attached to it, and for people to buy like peripheral merchandise. That's where the actual money comes from.
Yeah. So they made a mountain out of a molehill. And then they just were like, oh, but we can't have, these free sites making money off us. No, that's not how that works in this case. In this case, it's bringing attention to other people about this particular series, this particular game that they wouldn't have had in reach before, but now they get to experience. And then I know they will show love and pay for your stuff, like your merch stuff, if you produce a good product.
Speaking of producing a good product, she's about to lay out the classic Gabe Newell quote, which, if you've never heard, at least that's what I assume she's about to do, you will very much love.
Gabe Newell, the co-founder of Valve and someone who has spent literal decades studying exactly why people pirate games, has been saying the opposite for years. And I think his framing is far more relevant to this exact PlayStation situation than almost anything else has ever been said on this topic. Newell put it plainly, saying, "One thing that we have learned is that piracy is not a pricing issue, it's a service issue. The easiest way to stop piracy is not by putting anti-piracy technology to work, it's by giving those people a service that's better than what they're receiving from pirates."
Bingo, bango, bongo. You want to know the funny thing? I'm going to keep using anime to this regard because, frankly, the thing that's what I hit the high seas for the most is, in fact, anime. Is that sometimes when you're watching on these illicit websites, the quality's not as good. It is what it is. The quality's not as good. It's not in the full 1080p or whatnot. You might be looking like 720, sometimes even lower. You can have like maybe some artifacting, things like that. I will take the lower quality over giving Crunchyroll money. But if there was an anime streaming service out there that was able to provide me a proper service, actual good service, I will gladly leave the anime piracy behind. But you know what? I'll take the lower fidelity, lower resolution because fuck giving Crunchyroll money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Piracy is almost always a service problem and not a pricing problem. This thought track completely reframes what's actually happening here. Newell wasn't arguing that piracy is fine or that people are justified in doing it. He was making a purely practical observation based on actual consumer behavior that people pirate things when the legitimate version is genuinely more annoying, more restrictive, or less convenient than simply taking it for free. And that's exactly the trap PlayStation has built for themselves for years. Buying a PlayStation game legitimately was, by every reasonable measure, the more convenient option. You got a disc, instant access, no faffing about, achievements, trophies, resale value if you wanted it. And piracy involved sketchy downloads, viruses, incomplete files, and the genuine risk of bricking your own hardware. The legitimate path won on convenience comfortably for decades. PlayStation is now actively working to reverse that exact equation, stripping away the parts of legitimate ownership that made paying worth the hassle in the first place, while the piracy and emulation scene, as we're about to get into, has been getting dramatically easier and more polished at almost the exact same moment.
I can speak to this as somebody that played an emulated version of the 2000 PlayStation 1/Dreamcast classic Spider-Man on stream over on the gaming channel. Make sure to sub to that if you haven't already. Just a couple of days ago, or yesterday, actually, even. So, yeah, it's a PS1 game, all right? Neversoft doesn't even exist anymore. I'm sorry. I feel no guilt that I did anything wrong by getting a fucking ROM of Sony's, or sorry, not Sony's, Neversoft's Spider-Man game for the PlayStation 1 so I could stream it on my PS1 emulator. Sorry, I got no bones about doing that. There was no way to give them money for that game anyway. It's not like I can just open up Steam and buy Spider-Man 2000.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's worth pointing out that the games and entertainment industries have actually tried the opposite approach before, guilt rather than genuine service improvement. And it's worth understanding exactly how badly that already backfired, because it tells you a lot about where lecturing people about morality actually gets you. Back in 2004, the Motion Picture Association ran one of the most infamous anti-piracy campaigns ever produced, built entirely around the line, "You wouldn't steal a car," directly comparing downloading a film to Grand Theft Auto.
Bold of these commercial dudes to assume I wouldn't steal a car, by the way. I have. Just saying. Granted, it was my roommate's car that he was leasing, and I did not know that there were people out there trying to repo it. But that's neither here nor there. Point is, I did technically steal a car and go for a joyride. My homie Vincent. We went to the lake, had a good old time.
Oh my God.
It became one of the most widely mocked adverts of its entire era, spawning the "you wouldn't download a car" meme that outlived the actual campaign by decades. And here's the damning part, because a 2022 study published in the Information Society found that the ads didn't reduce piracy at all. It's found evidence the campaign may have actively increased it because, in the study's own words, informing directly or indirectly individuals that many people pirate is counterproductive and encourages piracy by driving the targeted individuals to behave similarly.
Mind you, you know what? I didn't even really consider that. I'm pretty sure most of us are in the same boat, and like our very first acts of piracy or whatnot would have been things like LimeWire back in the early 2000s, right?
Right.
Napster, of years old as I am, actually, because I used the fuck out of Napster. Bro, like commercials like these kind of entice you to do so. You wanted to be that bad kid that was doing that just because being bad feels good sometimes. Like, ain't nobody had any issue with the fact, like, your biggest worry about LimeWire and shit was getting viruses because you weren't sure if this was the real Linkin Park song or not.
Yeah, I remember judging them by their file size, but no, this is really it caused like a Streisand effect. If people didn't know what it was, or hadn't really thought about doing that, or were on the fence, they were like, "Oh hell yeah, let's go do that." So yeah, I understand. That's too funny.
Researchers also pointed out that comparing a downloaded film to stealing a literal car was so wildly disproportionate that it undermined the entire message, making the whole industry look out of touch rather than persuasive. A similar dynamic is playing out again right now, just with different slogans doing the same rounds. As mentioned in my intro, a phrase that's become genuinely widespread across gaming forums and social media captures it perfectly. If buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. It's popped up constantly across Reddit threads discussing the Stop Killing Games movement and digital ownership more broadly. And whether you think the logic technically holds up under strict legal definitions or not, and plenty of people online argue it doesn't, since piracy is technically
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not looking to the law, though, for what comes to, like, morality. Laws can be immoral. All just because something is legal does not justify its morality or its logic. Like, I'm sorry, there's some illogical fucking laws. Did you know that in Arkansas, it is still technically illegal to pronounce the name of the state incorrectly?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it is a blue law. It is now, again, is it enforced? No, obviously that law is not enforced, but it is an on the books law that is still technically, if they wanted to enforce it, they could. So
Yeah,
needless to say,
there is a law. I know this is
What?
gonna sound weird. I don't remember what state, but you cannot walk your chicken on a Sunday.
Yeah, there are states that have all sorts of blue laws like that. Or every state has all sorts of blue laws like that, I should say. And yeah, so needless to say, I don't look to the law for logic.
copyright infringement rather than theft, that's almost besides the point. The phrase has spread because it captures something that people genuinely feel, the same way you wouldn't download a car spread, because it captured how absurd people found the industry's own moral framing. When companies flip the definition of buying to suit themselves, stripping away permanence and ownership whenever it's convenient, people flip the definition of stealing right back at them. And no amount of stern messaging from PlayStation is going to unspread a phase that's already become this culturally embedded. We've actually already seen Newell's original theory play out in a completely different industry too, which makes it even harder to dismiss as some abstract prediction rather than something with a genuine track record. According to Muso's own 2024 Piracy Trends report, film piracy specifically declined by 18% year on year, dropping to 24.3 billion visits to piracy sites. At the same time,
Yeah, it dropped 18%. It only had 21 billion visits this time around. I don't really think that's that much of a difference at that fucking point. By the way, there's a myriad of people that, like you said, would pirate things and then also purchase them. Like I have absolutely been known to do that. Like I was watching DBZ not too terribly long ago. I posted about it on my Instagram just a couple nights ago or a couple mornings ago. I woke up, turned on DBZ, and started getting my day going. I've got all of DBZ and DBGT on fucking DVD. Like I've purchased them. Y'all got my money for them. However, I don't currently also have a functioning DVD player. I want to watch Dragon Ball, so I booted up the fucking piracy site. So that's simple.
Yeah, I mean, like if they made it standard for computers to have CD drives or DVD drives again,
I popped the disc in my fucking PC and second screened it while I was doing my work.
Yeah.
streaming services became genuinely widespread, affordable, and convenient. People didn't stop pirating movies because piracy suddenly became harder or because anyone's morals shifted overnight. They stopped because Netflix and everything that followed it made legitimate access cheap enough and frictionless enough that piracy simply wasn't worth the hassle anymore. A tenner a month for instant access to almost everything you'd ever want to watch beats scouring shady torrent sites and hoping the file wasn't secretly full of malware every single time. Now, flip that exact logic onto PlayStation's current pricing structure, because this is where the entire argument falls apart for them. A single first-party PS5 game costs £70 in the UK, a price point PlayStation's own former CEO Jim Ryan directly defended back in 2020, telling The Telegraph, "If you measure the hours of entertainment provided by a video game such as Demon's Souls compared to any other form of entertainment, I think that's a very straightforward comparison to draw." Except that comparison completely falls apart once you actually look at what streaming taught an entire generation of consumers to expect from digital entertainment. Streaming proved that cheap, convenient, hassle-free access wins every single time. And
I wouldn't say that. Like, because she said the word cheap. Streaming services can't actually exist and work within the parameters of like what they set their pricing at. That's why we've constantly seen Netflix and Disney Plus and all these others up how much it costs. Crunchyroll most recently, and to the point where now Crunchyroll has even paywalled their storefront where you can't purchase merch and whatnot unless you're a certain tier of streamer. A lot of them have a free ad version, so that's actually how they're recouping costs. And the ads that are running. Some people, again like Crunchyroll, have even gotten rid of a free ad tier version. So you could say that like these streaming companies have taught consumers, if you do give them a cheap streaming alternative, they'll gravitate towards it. But they can't actually justify that cheap cost, and they end up having to up it. When I canceled my Netflix, it was up to something ridiculous like $21 or $27 a month or whatnot for barely getting any fucking use.
I know, $23 is when I.
Is that what it was? Oh yeah, it was probably around 23. I didn't cancel my Netflix until around last year.
Yeah, no, same. And then it's like we had to wait until a series came or a movie came back, and it was just like, it's stupid. If I'm paying you this much, you should not be taking the movies and the whatever away. We should still have access to those. Why do you need so much damn money?
Because they can't actually, it doesn't actually cover the cost to run their day-to-day business operations. All the costs they could probably drop if they got rid of things like HR, like you were saying, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but it's so much cheaper to just buy the DVDs then.
£70 for one single digital game that you don't even get to permanently keep is neither cheap nor does it feel remotely proportionate to what people have been trained to expect a fair digital entertainment price to actually look like in 2026. And here's the part that makes this uncomfortably serious rather than just an argument about entitled gamers moaning about prices, because in a huge number of countries around the world, 70 quid is more than an entire day's wages. The BBC spoke to gamers this year who said plainly that games now exceeding £70 are simply not affordable anymore. And that's a comment from someone in the UK, one of the wealthier countries buying these consoles in the first place. Extend that same £70 price tag to somewhere with a considerably lower minimum wage, and you're no longer talking about an inconvenient luxury purchase. You're talking about a genuinely significant chunk of someone's monthly income being asked for a single piece of entertainment software that they don't even get to permanently own once they've paid for it. When the legitimate price of something stops feeling proportionate to what an ordinary person actually earns, and the alternative is free, instant, and increasingly polished, Newell's entire theory says exactly what happens next. People stop viewing the legitimate option as worth the money, and once that belief takes hold at scale, it doesn't really matter how many terms of service agreements PlayStation writes out about what you're technically allowed to do. People will.
Well, she says once the legitimate version stops being worth it. And here's the funny part. Most people, I don't think, give a fuck about what is and isn't legitimate. Like, that's not a thought that enters their mind when they are purchasing something. If that was the case, why would people purchase off brands?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair.
There's only a couple things I give a fuck about when it comes to purchasing legitimately. Dragon Ball merchandise is one of them. I'm slowly but surely trying to build towards the largest Dragon Ball collection in the world. I've got somewhere around like 600 plus unique pieces of Dragon Ball merch. In my opinion, it does not count if it's bootleg. If it's not officially licensed, it doesn't count. All right, so I'm going to look into the legitimacy when I'm purchasing Dragon Ball stuff. That's really the only thing I can think of. I buy off-brand almost everything. Not soda. I don't do off-brand soda, and I don't do off-brand Cheetos. But I don't eat Cheetos anyway on account of the diet. So, yeah, if I'm buying Dr. Pepper, I'm buying actual fucking Dr. Pepper, not Dr. Thunder. Beyond that, I think most people don't give a fuck about quote-unquote legitimacy. They care about, is the thing I'm getting the thing that is going to provide the outlet or whatever that I'm looking for. Video games, streaming services, even fucking car parts. You go to O'Reilly to buy something for your Yukon Denali. Like, are you buying the Denali brand, or are you going to go with the AC Delco because it's cheaper and does the same fucking thing?
Yeah, and then they also have to factor in price. It's like legitimacy isn't really the thing. What it is can we afford it? And then you have to make concessions where you can't, you can't buy other games because you're saving up for the super expensive one that's really fucking dumbly priced. Like, who the fuck is going to pay you $100 for a basic game?
The dumb motherfuckers that are willing to buy GTA 6. That's who.
I want to beat the shit out of them.
You and me both.
Just start doing the opposite anyway. So let's talk about that increasingly polished alternative, because this is the part of the story that I think most people simply haven't been paying attention to, and it's moving considerably faster than most casual PlayStation owners probably realize. To be completely clear up front, this isn't a tutorial, and I'm not going to walk through how any of this actually works because that's not what this video is about, but it's worth understanding.
And let's be real, also because technically that breaks YouTube TOS. Like, I was having trouble getting my PS1 emulator working yesterday morning, and I couldn't figure out why. And so I was looking for YouTube videos to try and explain it. And I could find some that were technical videos, but like, now we cannot tell you or show you where to download XYZ thing you need, but just know you need it. And if you do a Google search, it will be able to be provided to you. Long story short, it took me like 15 minutes. I got my PS1 emulator working, but like, they're like, here's the ins and outs, the technicals of how to set up your PS1 emulator. With the caveat of we can't show you steps like 2 and 3, and that's it. Like, it's super funny.
Oh my gosh.
Understanding just how far the PS5 jailbreaking and emulation.
And yes, Lessus, it was the BIOS. It was, to be fair, I had a BIOS, but apparently my issue was I had it was like a European BIOS, not the American one. It was something simple like that.
Wait, is that why
has
you couldn't
already
play
come.
your Sonic game?
No. The Sonic game has to do with Steam.
Oh, okay.
No, my Sonic Crossworlds is 100% legally purchased.
Because the pace of progress here has been genuinely remarkable over just the past year or so. As of writing, according to detailed tracking from the jailbreak community itself, there's already a public kernel jailbreak available covering firmware up to version 12.70, supporting homebrew applications, game backups, and custom payloads. On top of that, browser-based entry points into newer firmware versions have been confirmed working, meaning the barrier to entry for actually getting into this scene has been dropping steadily rather than becoming more restrictive over time, the way Sony would obviously prefer. And it's
Well, and also, I don't think she's touched on this yet, and she might, to be fair. There's still about 6 minutes left of the video. So much anti-piracy software, it hurts the performance of the game, and it hurts the performance of your PC if you're playing on PC.
True.
Like,
I didn't think about
anti-piracy
that.
software puts a huge drag on your PC and oftentimes on the software itself.
How many times have you heard a person say, hey, I'm not going to play this game because it's got de novo?
Right, exactly. I mean, shit. I wasn't going to play Marvel Tokon because of the way this being treated, the no Linux support, the way the PlayStation's forcing you to do sign in, the easy anti-cheat. The only reason that I'm doing Marvel Tokon is because, frankly, before any of that was ever announced, Sevi had already gifted it to me, and she got me like the nice $100 deluxe edition and whatnot. Greatest
Aw.
girlfriend ever, by the way. Shout out, thank you so much. And so I'd have felt real fucking shitty if I just let a gift like that there's no way for her to get a refund on because I already accepted the game. Yeah, I was like, well, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna set up a dummy PSN account. But at the end of the day, I still give the game a bad review because of all that stuff. If it weren't for the fact that it was a gift, I wouldn't even have touched it purely because of that.
Interesting.
not just jailbreaking either. Genuine PS5 emulators running natively on PC, rather than requiring the console itself at all, have started reaching real, meaningful milestones. Projects like Sharp Emu and Kaitai PS5 have already been reported successfully booting PS5 titles, including first-party games, to early menu and boot screens on ordinary PC hardware, something that would have sounded like a complete fantasy for a current generation console just a couple of years ago. Think about what that actually means once both of those tracks, jailbreaking and pure emulation, keep developing in parallel the way they clearly are right now, paired with PlayStation's downright disdain and dismissal of the needs of its user base, and we can all see exactly where this is going. Historically, console piracy required specific hardware knowledge, specific risk tolerance, and a genuine willingness to void your warranty and potentially damage an expensive piece of equipment.
And there was always a third-party market for that. There's always, if you're a real gamer, then you know a guy, or you know a guy who you're either the guy that can do it, you can jailbreak it yourself. If not, you know a guy, and if not, you know a guy that knows a guy. It's always 3 rings away. Like, I knew a guy that knew a guy, and that guy was able to fucking jailbreak the Wii. And guess what? My homeboy got himself a jailbroke Wii that had like every game fucking imaginable on that shit, completely playable. I've used many a jailbroke iPhone back in the day before I made the switch to Android, because they were fucking awesome. I've never jailbroke any of my consoles just because I've been off consoles so long at this point. There's never really been a need to. But yeah, I'm sure to this day I could still know a guy who knows a guy, just because everyone's got that knowledge or got someone in their circle that has that knowledge if they're a gamer.
Oh man, I don't know people. Help!
No, but you know me, and I might know a guy.
Yeah,
That's my point. You're always 3 rings away.
Okay, sweet.
Every one of those barriers has been eroding for the past year, and the trajectory doesn't look like it's slowing down. When emulation matures to the point that a PS5 game...
It looks like several people in the chat are like, I'm that guy. Several people in the chat are the guy that had the technical knowledge. Like, I'm sure your chat's no different, considering you and I have a lot of crossover in our chat, Cindy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Can simply run on a PC someone already owns, with no jailbreaking, no console modification, and no physical risk involved whatsoever. An entire category of previously hesitant, risk-averse would-be pirates suddenly has a genuinely low-friction way in. So here's where all of this actually converges. Because none of these pieces individually would necessarily spell disaster for PlayStation, but stacked all together at the exact same moment, they start to look like a genuinely dangerous combination for a company that seems to have decided that consumer goodwill simply doesn't matter anymore. You've got a pricing structure that's already stretched past what a meaningful chunk of the planet can reasonably justify spending on a single piece of software. You've got a digital only.
I mean, fuck that. Where people can not even justify spending on a single piece of hardware when the PS6 comes out and acknowledges that it's going to be well over $1,000. Wow. Did you hear? We did not talk about this near enough on SNH, by the way. We talked about this on SNH Saturday. Sebi brought it up. We should have delved further into it because I had the exact same thought when I read it. Did you hear what the CEO of Sony, I believe it was the CEO, it was one of the head honchos, the CEO, said about the upcoming PlayStation 6?
No, I haven't.
He said that it will be far more affordable than a high-end PC.
But you don't, okay.
The key word there, he specified a high-end PC.
Oh.
High-end PCs are like $3,500 to $7,000. So when he says, oh, the PS6 will be more affordable than a high-end PC, yeah, no shit. Most people in the world, even most gamers, don't need high-end PCs. I've got myself, my PC is like on the low end of high-end or the very high end of mid-tier. One of the two, depending on how you look at it. But the fact of the matter is, mine was like $3,500. Yeah, it was okay, it was about $3,000. Because I bought some extra cosmetic things that weren't necessary. So we're just looking at like the base parts that were necessary. I've got about a $3,000 PC. Do I need to spend that much? No, but for content creation, things like that. For gaming, no. For content creation and stuff, yes. The point is, the PS6 could be $2,000, and that's still notably lower than a high-end PC.
Well, hold on. Alucard is saying it's no. He said it'll be more powerful than a high-end PC.
No, he said cost-effective. He may have also said power, but I'm talking about how he said cost-effective. He did not say powerful. I can guarantee you he didn't say power. I'll pull up the quote. One sec. Next PlayStation high-end PC quote. Lin Tao stated the upcoming PlayStation remains more affordable than a high-end gaming PC, even at industry-wide component costs and memory shortages push next-gen console pricing estimates towards expected $900 to $1,000 baseline. By comparison, an equivalent high-end gaming PC easily ranges from $1,300 to well over $2,000, depending on custom specifications. So no, he didn't say more powerful. He said, and I quote, more affordable. Also, $1,300 to $2,000 is not a high-end PC, guys. $1,300 to $1,000 is not a high-end PC.
Model that strips away the exact permanence and flexibility that used to make paying the premium price worth the hassle in the first place. You've got a moral framing. If buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. That's already spread far wider than any anti-piracy campaign has ever managed to counter, precisely because it emerged organically from genuine frustration rather than being handed down by a marketing department. And you've got a jailbreaking and emulation scene that's rapidly closing the technical gap between legitimate and unauthorized access. At the exact moment, more people than ever have a moral justification sitting right there waiting for them, courtesy of PlayStation's own decision to redefine what a digital purchase actually means. Newell's entire argument was that piracy is a service problem, not a pricing or morality problem. PlayStation is...
Well, for piracy to be a service problem, piracy itself has to also be a service. And here's what people don't realize. That it whether you want to admit or not. Now, mind you, our chat's base as fuck. We don't have, at least to my knowledge, any anti-piracy motherfuckers in here. We all love sailing the Grand Line. That being said, piracy is a service in and of itself. Those websites out there offering you ROMs and shit, knowing the guy that knows a guy or just knowing the guy that'll fucking jailbreak your Wii or whatever, like all of that is a service. So you have to offer a service that people are willing to pay for because it's so good. It outdoes the free service. And there's a lot of services like that out there, mind you. Like, how many times have you been offered something that is like, just look at a mobile app, for example, a fucking, say, an app you play on your phone that's a game. How many people have played the free version and eventually they're like, I'm so fucking tired of these ads, I'll pay the 99 cents or whatever.
Yeah, I've done that.
I've done that as well. Not proud of it, but I've done that.
Yeah.
Spent the last several months actively making their own official service worse, all while an alternative pathway has been getting steadily faster, cheaper, and more accessible in parallel. And if history with the "you wouldn't steal a car" campaign has taught us anything, it's that trying to shame people back into compliance after you've already lost the moral high ground tends to backfire rather than work. If people genuinely start believing at scale that buying digitally never meant ownership in the first place, the psychological barrier that's kept plenty of otherwise honest customers away from piracy for years simply stops applying. Of course, that doesn't mean everyone suddenly turns into a pirate overnight, but it does mean that the population of people willing to consider it, people who previously would have felt a genuine guilt about it, keeps growing every single time PlayStation makes another decision like this one. I don't think PlayStation set out to build the conditions for a piracy resurgence, but intent doesn't really matter.
No one ever sets out to build the market conditions to create a black market. They just do it by accident when they fuck over their customers. The U.S. government has done this many a time, but the most famous time would, of course, be prohibition. The government didn't set out to create a black market of bootleggers selling alcohol and speakeasies, but they sure as fuck did.
Yeah, no, and then they created a market offline, or like at least away from that, where people now are going to sell jailbroken stuff. So like, you created a necessity. Good job.
Once the conditions are already in place. And right now, every single ingredient this scenario needs, unaffordable pricing, hollowed out digital ownership, and culturally embedded justification, spreading faster than any corporate messaging could hope to counter, and a rapidly maturing technical alternative is lining up at exactly the same time. Newell warned the entire industry about this dynamic over a decade ago, and PlayStation appears to be relearning that lesson the hard way in real time, entirely of their own making. Don't forget you can use my links below to get the entire Batman Arkham collection for
And that is pretty much that video. Shout out. Make sure to give a sub to Lady Decade. She's a fantastic content creator. There's the link, putting it in the chat for you guys. But yes, at the end of the day, look, I think that the vast majority of people who are already in the Sony ecosystem, the Sony ponies, they're brand loyal to Sony. They're going to eat this shit up. They don't give a fuck. They're going to buy GTA 6. They're going to buy the PlayStation 6 because they are already trapped under the oppressive boot of the Sony ecosystem. I also don't think that is the majority of Sony gamers. I think if anything is closer to 50-50. Most people are just buying consoles based on A, nostalgia. Oh, it's the thing I grew up with, so I'll buy the next one. Or B, there might be some exclusives they offer that like Xbox doesn't, things like that. If you are a console gamer, your choices really are only Sony or Microsoft. And most people are, making those choices based on the games available to them. Well, if you're going to get less games, if the game's going to be less affordable, if the game's going to be less appealing because you're just buying this, you're getting less games in general, why would people stick with Sony? And that's before we get to the very obvious $1,000 plus PS6 about to come out. That I think will, I was going to say make or break Sony, but I think just break Sony.
Yeah. Well, these Sony ponies, I don't want to hear any bitching from them about why the games are so expensive or why such and such thing is taking such a long time to make. You're part of the problem.
I completely agree. You, by adhering to your brand loyalty as if Sony gives a fuck about you and sees you as anything more than just a number, like you are endorsing this behavior.
Yeesh. I hate it. Don't be a slave to your game makers. They are a slave to you.
With that being said, let's hit some soups real quick. We'll see. This is where we left off. Mervoff with a two-banger. 1863 is when the U.S. learned about owning being voided. Do you get that?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Subtle Deviancy with a five-banger. I would rather laminate my cojones than financially support a blood-sucking company like Sony. Based as fuck. Shout out. We got
Why laminate specifically?
What?
Why laminate specifically? What a sentence.
I think that's a great sentence. Look, one of the rules of comedy is specificity. So when you laminate my cojones, there's some specificity there. I like it. Vagabond with a five-banger. Example, Crunchyroll refused to show the last episode of Oremo Season 2. Had to sail the high seas for the last episode with a fan sub.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know about that, but fan subs FT dub. Based as fuck, Vagabond. Evan with a five-banger. Doesn't help they frequently the various anti-piracy tools have made using the product difficult or impossible, making piracy a better product too. That's what I was saying earlier. I agree with this completely. Like anti-piracy things. So there was I think it was Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I could be wrong. I think it was Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 that the anti-piracy made it incompatible with Windows 10 after Windows 11 launched. And so you could play the game online in the lobby, but you couldn't actually do in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is a basically it's a soft MMORPG. Like you could play it, through solo, but you're online, there's a lobby, you do like raids together, you do missions together, the whole nine. And because of the incompatibility with Windows 10, once Windows 11 came out, I could be wrong, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the easy anti-cheat added to this. You could not do raid missions and online missions together. You could exist in the lobby with other people, but actually launching the multiplayer missions and stuff would just lock you up in the waiting lobby. You have to reset your whole game.
Holy shit.
Happened to me and AJ, because me and AJ were like, Abomination. AJ were like, oh shit, you played Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2? Yeah, me as well. And he and I tried to get to work for hours before I finally, after several bits of Google searching, found out we were still on Windows 10. So we couldn't actually even play together.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. We got Ask Kotsky to trade the 2-banger. LimeWire was great before the pedos ruined it. That is also a thing that happened on LimeWire. Yeah, thankfully never happened to me, but I've heard some horror stories. Yes. Cell Demons with the 2-banger is walk your chicken code for rubbing one out.
Not my terminology.
But Remnant Gold, shout out, giving a Words of Paradise gifted membership. Let's see, was this long ago that I was able to check and see who he hit? Yes, hit Shadow Warden. Nice. Shout out. Thank you so much, homie. Truly appreciated. All right, let's go ahead and play y'all a clip real quick before we get more of these super chats. You know what? I'm gonna give you guys some horse cock. I think y'all deserve some horse cock.
Horse semen's great.
I'm digging horse cock.
Is your cock a horse cock? You will never hear me say it. Nay. Ooh, as I speak more.
My favorite stallion that I keep in my top drawer kinda goes hard though.
'Cause there is no cock like horse cock. Send your asshole into shock and eat horse.
I don't know how we're going to ever top horse cock.
Shout out, guys. Thank you so much for all the donos so far. You were legendary, including Team Prime HQ with a 20-banger. Get up here with a fucking orange boy, son. I finished watching an animated show without paying a dime because the show was only a streaming exclusive. The subscription I have for the show was the most expensive. The one I still support or pay for, I use discount for life. Yeah, discount. Oh, as in Piracy being a discount for life. I was like, I'm not familiar with the streamers. Yeah, do I pay for any streaming services yet anymore?
I've been using High Dive.
See, I use High Dive for a time, but I don't even use that. Amazon Prime Video is included with my phone plan, so I guess if you count that when I pay my phone plan, I'm also paying for Prime Video. Prime in general, Prime shipping, the whole nine. So is that? I think that might be the only one.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's if you count that. Shout out Team Prime. Thank you so much for the 20-banger. You're an absolute legend. This is for you.
Call it whatever, but if I made $1 for each time I made a racist joke, I would actually have $0. Cause I'm not joking.
Based? Based? Hello?
Shout out. Thank you for the 20-banger. Matt Funcool, remember for 2 months? Let's go for 2 months. Leon's trans, but he says, yeah, white people. Cindy's a bad dragon whose English is bad and takes a long time to react. Here's the dealio. My yeah, white people clip, it's not working. It just turns my screen over here to a black screen. I don't know if I need to update OBS or what it is. But yeah, for whatever reason, it works on OBS, but it's not working on StreamYard. So
maybe you have to re-upload it?
Huh?
Maybe you have to re-upload it?
Well, no, it's not a re-upload. I am using my virtual camera through OBS into StreamYard. So all my clips and stuff should work just by using my Stream Deck. So I should be able to, like, for example, click on this clip right here and hit play. It's just turning my shit black.
How weird.
I have to use what's uploaded on StreamYard, but StreamYard doesn't do just static images for your Well, I mean, it can, but there's no easy way to switch between static image for your camera. So yeah, I have no. Maybe I just need to update OBS. That's gotta be what it is. I have to update OBS. But it'll still. Yeah, it doesn't even work if I try and go to, like, yeah, change my article coverage or my full screen. I don't know what it is. Thank you for 2 months, homie. Elmer with the 2-banger. Leon, Dragon Ball is doing a collab with BK as in Burger King. Guess I'll be getting me some Burger King next month if that be the case. Which reminds me, I gotta go to Wendy's tonight and try and get the last Sonic the Hedgehog crossover thing they've got going. I've got chicken I'm gonna cook. I might just go to Wendy's just to, like, get a kid's meal for the toy, and then just, like, give the food to my grandma or something like that. Because I'm on a diet, I'm making chicken, but I do need that last piece of Sonic merch. I'm one short. Thank you for letting me know, Mervoth. That's awesome. See Brew with a 2-banger. As I used to be Sony pony. Hashtag cancel Sony Plus. Hashtag cancel Sony Plus. Indeed. We got JW here. I'm still mad they let the Vita die. I never had a Vita. I didn't like the original PSP, so I never had a Vita. I don't know if you had thoughts on that, Cindy.
I have a Vita, I think. But I only had like 2 games on it, and one of them was Persona 4 Golden.
And you never played it.
No.
Shame this woman. Persona 4 Golden is a masterpiece. Rudaka with a $1.49 super sticker, and it is a slipped banana peel. Shout out. I see what you think of us mayo monkeys. Coding Bear with a 5-banger. Funniest thing is when the anti-cheat softwares block each other. I've never had that happen. What happens when the anti-cheat softwares block each other? And Tiger King with a 2-banger. Make time to watch Takapi. It's 2 hours. I don't really have a lot going on tonight. I know when Sevi's stream is done, her and I are going to be hanging out, but I don't think I have anything else. I think I don't have any other streams tonight, so I might watch Takapi tonight. Shout out. Thank you, Tiger King. I appreciate you. I need to watch that. I need to watch...
Get ready to rage.
Why?
I was very annoyed with that series.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. Shout out Tiger King. Thank you so much, homie. Truly appreciate it. Let's get one last clip for you guys. And I guess we do not normally speed through topics this quickly, but today we did. I think we're just going to be end up ending early. But this is for you guys. Thank you. You racist motherfuckers. I didn't know how to bring you back.
Look at this nigga's face. Look at his face. Look at his fucking face.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Writing Bean is great. I love Writing Bean. Shout out, thank you for the 10 gold coins, my man. Just again, put them schnickles in their place. You love to see it. Anti-cheat software block each other, and now both games don't work. Oh, that's fucked. Anjuna Main over on Kick gifted a sub to Cybold. Shout out Anjuna Main, you fucking legend. Let me get you a clip as well. You know what? I love this one.
I know now that it could never work between us. Not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
Koibold, by the way. Koibold, not Cybold. Koibold. Don't read it backwards this time. Don't read it backwards.
What
would I read backwards?
Where?
It was over on Kick. He says, Leon on Juna Main gifted a sub to Koibold. Do not read that backwards.
Oh, because last time you said the person who got gifted was the gifter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Cassie was gifted. Yeah, that was retarded. But I corrected it nearly instantly. Shout out Sologrim. Thank you for the 10 gold coins. Put them snickles in their face. Is that clip from Jackie Chan Adventures? No, the clip is from Ghost Stories. You did it again today with the earlier one. I didn't read off anything earlier today. There wasn't an earlier one on Kick. Was there?
I have no idea. I'm looking up the Burger King thing.
Yeah, there were no other ones on Kick, were there?
I don't know. I can't see Kick.
Well, I'm scrolling up, but I don't see any other gifts. I saw someone. I thought my name backwards was something bad. I was like, what? I was scared. Yeah, I was confused as well, Koibold. Yeah, Edmund says nope. Yeah, no, there was something else on Kick. There was someone followed but not subbed, to my knowledge. What's your sadness or tolerance? Because Takapi as well. My tolerance for sadness. What's your sadness for tolerance? I think it meant your tolerance for sadness. I will rewatch Anohana, I won't rewatch Grave of the Fireflies. Like, that's my tolerance. Like I will only rewatch Grave of the Fireflies if I'm showing it to someone who has never seen it. I will never actively rewatch it myself, but I will rewatch Anohana. So if that gives you an idea of my tolerance for sadness. And shout out, thank you for the 2-banger, homie. Truly appreciate you.
This one might be a little rough then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Needs to watch it. I didn't really care for Your Lie in April. It like the story's like good and emotionally poignant and whatnot, but it's too predictable. So like the emotion of Your Lie in April was a little lost on me because it was I saw where it was going. The thing I expected to happen happened, and so I was able to like emotionally prepare myself for it. Again, Your Lie in April is good. I do recommend it. It didn't seem to hit me the same way it hit a lot of other people. That being said, I think we're gonna wrap here. Cindy, you got anything to say before we go out? Obviously, I'm gonna give you do your outro and everything, but do you have anything before that?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, tell the people who you are, what you do, what you got going on, the whole 9.
Well, hey guys, I'm Cinevere, as you guys know, and then I have a short week this week. I will be disappearing on Friday to go out with my mama, and the internet will not exist for me. I am sad, but it is all good. I needed a break anyway, so this is where I will be taking it. And then I have my stream all throughout the week, except on Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m. and then on Wednesdays 11:30. So yeah.
You'll love to see it. As for me, videos and streams nearly every day. We will be doing, of course, Simple Haters tomorrow, like normal. Sevi is not live yet, even though she usually is by this point. So I guess we are going to raid into Amalgamite. Guys, over on YouTube, say, shout out for an Amalgamite raid. Is Amalgamite live on Kick? I have to check. She is, and apparently I don't follow her over on Kick. So, all right, we're going to raid Amalgamite both on Kick and on YouTube. Make sure you say Vital Idol Raid. And until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise. Thank you, crew. Great show. Thank you for all the donos. It means the world to me, and I will see you tomorrow.